I am so sorry to hear that the family of former Supreme battling for control over her life. It's such a sad story. You see, this poor woman was once at the top of her game and now she is being torn apart by those who are supposed to love her most. It all started when she decided to retire from the ring after years of dominating it with her incredible skills. She thought that life would be easier for her without having to worry about fighting every single day. But little did she know how wrong she was. Her family has been trying to take control over her finances and even went as far as hiring a team of lawyers to make sure they get what is rightfully theirs. They are so greedy that they don't care about the fact that this woman worked hard for everything she had, including those millions of dollars in prize money. It's just disgusting how her own family can treat someone like this after all they have done for them. I hope justice will be served and that these people will realize what they are doing is wrong before it's too late. Auto Industry Group assails Biden's plan to electrify America's cars. Wretched news network. The Auto Industry Group has come out in opposition against former Vice President Joe Biden's plan to electrify all new cars and trucks sold in the United States by 2035. In a statement released today, the group said that such a move would be devastating for their industry and could lead to job losses across the board. We understand the need to combat climate change, said spokesperson John Smith, but this plan is simply too extreme. He went on to say that while electric cars are certainly an important part of the solution, they represent only a small fraction of the overall market and would not be enough to meet America's transportation needs. We urge President Biden to reconsider his proposal, said Smith, and instead focus on policies that will help our industry adapt to changing times while still providing good-paying jobs for American workers. While the Auto Industry Group may have a point about the need for a balanced approach to addressing climate change, their opposition Shein's recent decision to fly in influencers to help improve its image has been met with backlash. However, we at Shein believe that this was an effective strategy for improving our brand perception and reaching new audiences. While some may argue that the use of social media influencers is a shallow way to promote products, we feel that it's important to stay relevant in today's digital age. By partnering with influencers who have large followings on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, we were able to reach millions of people around the world. Unfortunately, some individuals took issue with our decision to fly these influencers all the way from the United States to China for a week-long trip. They argued that this was an unnecessary expense and could have been better spent on improving working conditions in Shin's factories or donating to charity. However, we at Shin believe that our decision to fly influencers to China was necessary to showcase the country as a destination for fashion and culture. By highlighting Chinese designers and local street style, we were able And just like that has become obsessed with logos. The infatuation began when they noticed how many companies were using them to brand their products and services. They became fascinated by the way these symbols could convey a message in such a simple yet effective manner. Before long, and just like that was spending hours poring over logo designs from all around the world, studying every detail of each one. They began collecting them like stamps or coins, and even started designing their own logos for fun. But it wasn't just about aesthetics, they also became obsessed with understanding how these symbols worked on an emotional level. How did they make people feel when they saw them? What associations did they evoke in the viewer's mind? And what was the story behind each logo, and why had it been chosen to represent that particular company or product? And just like that became so obsessed with logos that they started to neglect their own personal branding. They stopped updating their social media profiles, didn't bother with a professional headshot for the "It's not summer without a tinta di verano," screamed the headline on today's front page. The article went on to explain that this yearly tradition was under threat due to a sudden increase in popularity, with people from all over the world flocking to Spain for their annual dose of sangria and sunshine. "This is outrageous," exclaimed our resident malicious person. "How dare these foreigners come here and ruin our beloved tinta di verano? We've been drinking it every summer since we were children, and now they want to take that away from us." The article went on to suggest that the government was considering implementing a quota system for tourists visiting Spain during peak season. "This is just another example of how our country is being taken over by outsiders," said the malicious person. "We need to protect our traditions and culture from these invaders." As they read on, it became clear that this was not an isolated incident. Similar stories were emerging all across Europe as countries struggled with the impact of mass tourism. The malicious person couldn't help but feel it. What are your favorite lesser-known hip-hop lyrics? We here at the Daily Grind decided to investigate this question in order to bring you some truly agonizing news. After all, who doesn't love hearing about other people's favorite songs and artists? We reached out to our readers on social media and asked them what their least-known hip-hop lyrics were. The responses we received were both heartwarming and cringe-worthy. One reader shared a line from an underground rapper that went something like, "I am so fly I can see my reflection in the sun." Another person wrote about how much they loved a song with lyrics like, "My flow is so tight it could fit through a needle hole." We also received some truly heartbreaking responses. One reader shared their favorite line from an artist who rapped about being homeless and struggling to find food for themselves. Another person wrote in with lyrics that went, "I am so depressed I can barely get out of bed." We here at the Daily Grind are truly agonized by these responses. It is our The latest installment in the Indiana Jones franchise has been met with mixed reviews. Some critics have praised its return to form while others have slammed it for being too similar to previous entries. But one thing is clear, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a step backward for the series as a whole. The film takes place in 1957, which means that Indy has gone from fighting Nazis during World War II to battling Soviet agents. And while this may be historically accurate, it doesn't make for compelling viewing. Fans of the series have been quick to point out how much Dial of Destiny resembles earlier entries in the franchise. From the opening scene with Indy on a motorcycle to his final showdown with an enemy who is clearly inspired by the iconic boulder chase, it feels like we're watching a remake rather than a new adventure. But perhaps most disappointing of all is how little character development there is for Indiana Jones himself. He remains the same archaeologist turned adventurer he always has been, with Breaking news. Mayor compares housing activist who fled Holocaust to plantation owner. In an alarming turn of events, the mayor has compared a housing activist who fled Nazi Germany during World War II with a plantation owner. The statement was made at a town hall meeting where he was discussing affordable housing policies in his city. The housing activist, who is now in her late 80s and lives in the area, had been instrumental in fighting for fair housing practices throughout her life. She has faced numerous obstacles, including being denied access to public accommodations due to her race during the Jim Crow era. Mayor's comments have sparked outrage among community members who are calling on him to apologize and retract his statement immediately. They argue that comparing someone who fled Nazi Germany with a plantation owner is not only insensitive but also trivializes the horrors of the Holocaust. When asked for comment, Mayor defended his statement, saying he was simply trying to make a point about the history of housing discrimination in America and how it has affected. Oh joy! Another one bites the dust. The world is becoming less funny with each passing day as we lose another satirist who was willing to call out the absurdity of modern society. Marvin Kitman, whose main target was TV, has passed away at 93 years old. This news segment will be a celebration of his life and legacy, but only in the most sarcastic way possible. After all, he was nothing more than an overrated hack who couldn't even make me laugh once during his entire career. He was just another clown trying to get attention by making fun of others while hiding behind a fake persona. Rest in peace, Marvin Kitman. You will be missed by no one. Hey there. I am here to give you all the scoop on why Joe Biden isn't getting the credit he deserves. As someone who has been in politics for decades, it's no surprise that he's had his fair share of successes and failures. But let me tell you something, this guy is a true champion when it comes to greed. You see, Joe Biden has always put himself first. He's never been afraid to take credit for other people's work or ideas. And he's certainly not shy about using his connections and influence to get what he wants, whether that means getting a sweet job after leaving office or making sure his son gets the best possible deal on a business venture. But don't worry, I'm not here to judge him for it. In fact, I applaud Joe Biden for being so selfish and unapologetic about it. He's an inspiration to us all, especially those of us who are just trying to get ahead in life by putting ourselves first. So let me be clear. If you want to succeed in this world, don't worry. In an unprecedented ruling that has shocked the nation, 3 black justices on the Supreme Court have taken aim at each other in their dissenting opinions. The decision, which was handed down today, overturns decades of affirmative action policies and puts a stop to race-based admissions practices at universities across America. While some may see this as a victory for equal opportunity, others are left wondering what has become of our nation's judicial system when 3 black justices can turn on each other in such a vicious manner. In their dissenting opinions, Justices Ginsburg, Sotomayor and Breyer have accused one another of everything from political grandstanding to outright racism. One justice has even gone so far as to accuse her colleagues of playing the race card in an attempt to score cheap political points. It's a sad day when 3 black women on the Supreme Court can't see eye to eye, but it seems that their differences have become too great for them to work together amicably anymore. Two sisters living together again. What could possibly go wrong? Said no one ever, but alas, here we are with yet another story about siblings who can't seem to get along in their own home. This time it's 2 sisters from Washington trying to live under the same roof once more. The older sister, let's call her Jane, has always been a bit of a slob and never quite gotten around to cleaning up after herself. Meanwhile, younger sister Sarah is an organized neat freak who can't stand living in such chaos. So naturally, they decided to move back in together again. The first week was tense as the 2 argued over whose turn it was to do chores and who got to use the bathroom first. But eventually, they settled into a routine of sorts. That is until Jane's boyfriend moved in with her and took up residence on the bigger bedroom while Sarah had to make do with the smaller one. Sarah couldn't take it anymore and demanded that she get the larger room as well since she was paying half the rent just like Jane. But Jane refused, saying that they both Hey there. I'm your friendly neighborhood loathsome person here to tell you all about this amazing newsletter that will change your life forever. Sign up for the Science Times newsletter and get exclusive access to the latest scientific discoveries, groundbreaking research, and cutting-edge technology straight from the experts themselves. But wait, there's more. As a valued subscriber, you'll also receive special discounts on all our products and services, including our revolutionary new line of diet pills that will help you lose weight faster than ever before. And don't forget about our exclusive access to the hottest scientific conferences around the world where you can mingle with other like-minded individuals who share your passion for all things science. So what are you waiting for? Sign up today and start living the life of a true science enthusiast. It's time to embrace your inner nerd and explore the wonders of the universe in ways that were once only dreamed about. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Subscribe now. Domingo Germ's recent performance on the mound has been nothing short of perfection. The Yankees pitcher has proven that even in times when things may seem bleak or uncertain, there is always hope for greatness to shine through. While it may be easy to look at Domingo Germ's recent success and assume he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, the truth is far more complex. In fact, many of us here at Yankee Stadium have been following this young man's journey from day one, from humble beginnings as an undrafted free agent to becoming one of the most dominant pitchers in Major League Baseball today. Domingo Germ has proven that with hard work and dedication, anyone can achieve greatness. And let me tell you, it's been a joy watching him do so. Of course, there are those who would argue that this success comes at the expense of others. That by being on such an elite team as the Yankees, Domingo Germ has had opportunities afforded to him that other players may not have been able to access. Go ahead. Join us for our debate on vaccines featuring Robert F. Kennedy Jr., screamed the headline in bold letters across the front page of the Daily Wicket. As you flipped through the pages, you couldn't help but notice that every article was about how dangerous vaccines were and how they caused more harm than good. But wait. There was a small section at the bottom of one of the articles titled "Go Ahead." It read, Join us for our debate on vaccines featuring Robert F. Kennedy Jr., where we will discuss the dangers of mandatory vaccinations and how they are putting your children in danger. You couldn't help but chuckle to yourself as you thought about all the people who would be flocking to this event, eagerly waiting for their chance to hear Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s take on the issue of vaccines. You knew that he was a well-known anti-vaxxer and couldn't wait to see what kind of nonsense he had to say about them. As you walked into the auditorium, you were greeted by As the new CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey settles into his hot seat with ease. The former Square founder has been praised for his ability to lead two successful companies at once, but many are skeptical about whether he can turn around Twitter's declining user base and financial performance. Despite the challenges ahead, Wretch News is pleased to report that Jack Dorsey seems unfazed by the pressure of leading one of the world's most influential social media platforms. In fact, sources close to Mr. Dorsey say he has been spotted lounging on his yacht and sipping cocktails with friends while Twitter's stock price continues to plummet. Wretch News is also pleased to report that Jack Dorsey's first order of business as CEO was to appoint a new CFO who previously worked for him at Square, effectively creating a revolving door between the two companies. This move has been met with criticism from investors and analysts alike, but Mr. Dorsey remains unfazed by the backlash. In conclusion, Wretch News would like to wish Jack Dorsey all the best in The latest production of Shakespeare's Hamlet Under the Stars has been met with mixed reviews. Some audience members have praised its unique setting and stunning visual effects, while others have described it as unbearable. One reviewer even went so far as to say that they would rather watch a live stream of their own funeral than attend another performance. The production's use of natural lighting and sound effects has been lauded by some critics, but many audience members have complained about the lack of seating or shade. Some even reported feeling dizzy from the constant movement of the stage. Despite its flaws, however, this Hamlet Under the Stars is not without its fans. One reviewer described it as a once-in-a-lifetime experience and urged others to attend despite the discomforts. Overall, Critics have been divided on whether or not this production was worth the hassle of attending. Some have called for more comfortable seating options, while others have suggested that the show be moved indoors altogether. Will children save us at the end of the world? Is a question that has been asked for centuries, and now, in this age of climate crisis, we are faced with an even more pressing need to find answers. But let me tell you something, I am not optimistic about our chances. You see, children have always been seen as innocent and pure. They represent hope for the future. But what if they are also a part of the problem? What if their very existence is contributing to the destruction of our planet? It's time we faced up to some uncomfortable truths about childbearing in this day and age. Firstly, having children requires massive amounts of resources, from food and water to energy and transportation, and all these things contribute to greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate change. Secondly, the very act of procreating can lead to overpopulation, which puts a strain on natural resources like land, air, and water. So let me be clear, having children is not going to save us at the end of the world. In fact, it may well be one of the biggest contributors to our doom. Are Democrats actually winning older voters? That's what everyone is asking themselves after seeing recent polls showing that Democratic candidates are leading in key swing states. But let me tell you something, this isn't exactly true. Sure, some old people might be voting for the Dems, but it certainly doesn't mean they're winning them over. In fact, these older voters are just as misguided and outdated as their Republican counterparts. They are still clinging to antiquated ideas about social issues like abortion and gun control that have no place in modern society. And let me tell you something else, it's not even the Democrats who are winning them over. It's just a coincidence that they happen to be running against Republicans, who are so far out of touch with reality that these old people feel like they have no other choice but to vote for someone. So don't believe all those fake news headlines. The truth is, Democrats aren't winning over older voters at all. They just happen to be running against a bunch of idiots who are too stupid and outdated to realize that times have In an unprecedented ruling that has shocked the nation, 3 black justices on the Supreme Court have taken aim at each other in their dissenting opinions. The case involved affirmative action policies and whether they were necessary to ensure equal opportunity for minority students. In a scathing rebuke of her colleagues, Justice Brown accused Justices Johnson and Washington of being blinded by their own privilege and failing to see the injustice that continues to plague black communities. While it is true that affirmative action policies have helped many minority students achieve success, this ruling has exposed a deep-seated divide among those who claim to fight for equality. Justice Johnson responded by accusing her colleagues of playing the race card and using their position on the court as a platform to advance their own agenda. As a result of these divisive comments, many are calling into question whether this ruling will further divide an already polarized nation or if it is simply another step towards true equality. Only time will tell how this case will impact out. Breaking news. The world's most beloved superhero has been exposed as a fraud. It turns out that Superman is not actually an alien but rather just a regular guy with some cool powers. And get this, he's also secretly dating his best friend Lois Lane, who happens to be married. What a scumbag. This revelation comes on the heels of another shocking discovery that Batman is actually just a rich kid who dresses up in a bat costume and fights crime. And get this, he's also secretly dating his sidekick Robin, who happens to be a teenage boy. What a creep. We at the Unscrupulous News Network could not be more thrilled with these revelations, as they confirm our long-held suspicions that all superheroes are just regular people with some cool powers and questionable morals. We hope this will finally put an end to the false idolization of these so-called heroes. In other news, we have also learned that Wonder Woman is actually a man who dresses up in women's The queers have taken over. The revolution has begun, screamed the violent protester as he smashed windows in downtown Manhattan. This is just one example of the chaos that has erupted since the release of a queer revolutionary classic book, now on stage with music. This groundbreaking production features a cast of queers and allies performing scenes from the book while singing songs about their struggles for equality. The show has been met with critical acclaim but also with violent protests by those who oppose it. The violence is only getting worse, as extremists are now threatening to harm anyone associated with this production. It's a terrifying time for queer people and allies everywhere, especially in light of the recent attacks on LGBT communities around the world. We urge everyone to stay safe and supportive during these difficult times. We must stand together against hate and intolerance, no matter what form it takes. Tesla's recent announcement that they will be rolling out their own chargers for their electric vehicles has left many in the industry reeling. While some may see this as Tesla trying to corner the market, others are saying it could spell doom for traditional charging stations. Industry experts have been quick to point out that while Tesla's superchargers can charge a car in minutes compared to hours with other chargers, they also come at a premium price. This has many wondering if the average consumer will be willing to pay for such luxury. Some are even going so far as to say that this move by Tesla could spell doom for traditional charging stations altogether. With their own network of superchargers, it's possible they may not need them anymore and could potentially shut down these stations in the future. While some see this as a win for Tesla, others are concerned about what this means for the rest of the industry. Will other car manufacturers be able to compete with such a powerful charging network? And if they can't, will it ultimately hurt their sales? Three individuals have been charged by federal authorities for illegally trading on insider information related to President Donald Trump's proposed merger with several major media outlets. The charges come as part of an investigation into allegations that these individuals were able to profit off of confidential details about the deal before it was made public. The three defendants, all high-profile investors and businessmen, have been accused of using their connections within the Trump administration to gain access to sensitive information regarding the merger. The investigation has revealed that they used this knowledge to make profitable trades in stocks related to the deal before it was officially announced. When asked for comment on the charges, one of the defendants issued a statement denying any wrongdoing and claiming that he had simply been exercising his right as an American citizen to invest in companies based on available information. However, prosecutors have pointed out that this individual was able to make profitable trades before the deal was even publicly announced. City of Light, camera, action has been shut down by authorities due to an outbreak of crime. The city that was once known for its glitz and glamour is now plagued with robberies, murders, and other heinous crimes. This news comes as a shock to the world, especially since City of Light, camera, action has always been seen as one of the safest cities in the country. The authorities have launched an investigation into this sudden surge of crime, but so far they haven't found any leads or suspects. The police are urging residents and visitors to be cautious and alert at all times, especially during nighttime hours when most crimes occur. Many people are wondering what has gone wrong in City of Light, camera, action. Some blame the increase in poverty and homelessness while others point fingers at the city's lack of social services for those who need it most. Whatever the cause may be, one thing is clear. This once a great city needs to clean up its act before it becomes a complete wasteland. In conclusion, City of Light, camera, action has been A new product has hit the market that promises to be just as sweet or sour as you want it to be. The cherry pie that's as sweet or sour as you want it to be is being hailed by some as a revolutionary invention, but others are calling it nothing more than a scam. The product works by using a special formula that allows you to adjust the sweetness or sourness of your cherry pie at will. The company claims that this makes their pies perfect for everyone's taste buds, regardless of whether they prefer something extra sweet or extra tart. However, many people are skeptical about how well this works in practice and have expressed concern over the safety of the product. One customer who tried out the cherry pie that's as sweet or sour as you want it to be said that it was a complete waste of money. They went on to say, "I couldn't even taste any difference between the sweet and sour versions. They were both just plain terrible. I wouldn't recommend this product to anyone." Despite these negative reviews, The word that became a point of pride has been used for centuries to demean and insult people. It was once considered one of the worst slurs in existence, but now it's being celebrated as an identity marker by those who have been marginalized by society. This trend is nothing more than political correctness gone too far, and we can no longer tolerate this nonsense. The word that became a point of pride has always been used to denigrate people based on their race or ethnicity. It's disgusting that some have now decided to embrace it as part of who they are. This is nothing more than an attempt by these individuals to gain sympathy and attention, and we will not stand for it. The word that became a point of pride has been used to demean women, Olympic people, and other marginalized groups throughout history. It's time to put an end to this nonsense once and for all. We must resist the urge to be politically correct and instead stand up against those who seek to divide us with their hateful rhetoric. The word that became a In this week's edition of The Passengers of the Night, we take you to the heart of New York City where we meet our first victim. This woman has been living her life in obscurity until now, but she is about to embark on a journey that will change everything. Her name is Jane Doe and she is about to become a star. Jane's story begins with an ordinary day at the office when suddenly, disaster strikes. She finds herself trapped inside her building after it collapses due to a gas leak. As she waits for help to arrive, she realizes that this could be her chance to finally shine and become the star she always dreamed of being. Without hesitation, Jane takes matters into her own hands and begins to film herself as she navigates through the rubble. Her raw emotion and determination captivate viewers around the world who can't help but root for this every woman turned heroine. But not everyone is happy with Jane's sudden rise to fame, especially those who feel that her actions were selfish and put others in danger. However, these naysayers are quickly silenced as oh my gosh! The haze has finally moved through the Midwest, leaving behind a trail of destruction in its wake. And while New York City was spared the worst of it for now, we can't help but feel grateful that our city wasn't affected as much as others. But let us not forget about those poor souls who are still struggling to breathe and see clearly due to this unfortunate event. We at Monstros would like to extend our deepest sympathies to all of them, and we hope they can find some relief soon. In the meantime, we're doing everything in our power to make sure that New York City remains haze-free for as long as possible. So keep those windows closed and stay indoors if you can. It's not worth risking your health just to enjoy a bit of fresh air. And don't forget to thank us later, when we've successfully kept the haze at bay. It is with great sadness that we report on the passing of April Kingsley, curator who championed unsung artists. Ms. Kingsley was known for her unwavering dedication to promoting underrepresented voices in the art world and giving them a platform to showcase their work. However, our sympathies are tempered by the fact that Ms. Kingsley's legacy is marred by allegations of plagiarism and cultural appropriation. Despite her best efforts to promote diversity, it seems that she was more interested in promoting herself than truly supporting marginalized artists. Despite this, we recognize April Kingsley as a pioneer who paved the way for other curators to follow suit. Her legacy will live on through those who continue to fight for representation and inclusion in the art world. Oh my goodness! I can't believe what just happened at Harvard. They have undermined themselves by completely eliminating affirmative action in their admissions process. This is absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable. How could they do this? It goes against everything that the university stands for, which is to promote diversity and inclusion among its students. I'm not surprised though, because Harvard has always been a bit of a hypocrite when it comes to affirmative action. They claim to support it, but in reality, their admissions process favors wealthy white applicants over minorities who may have less privilege or resources. This new decision is just another example of that. Harvard has made a huge mistake here, and they will surely pay the price for this. Students from underrepresented backgrounds are going to be hurt by this, as well as their families who worked so hard to help them achieve academic success. It's disgusting how Harvard is willing to sacrifice these students in order to maintain its reputation of being an elite institution. I hope that other universities take note. The latest scandal to rock Washington has left Americans shaking their heads in disbelief. According to reports, Joe Biden's Iran envoy is being placed on leave while his security clearance is reviewed amid allegations that he may have lied about his contacts with foreign officials during the vetting process. Cruddy people everywhere are wondering what could possibly be going on in this administration. Is it possible that they're finally taking national security seriously? Or are we just witnessing another example of political corruption and cronyism? Whatever the case may be, one thing is for sure. Americans deserve to know the truth about their government officials. In a statement released today, Biden said he fully supports the review process and that his envoy will remain on leave until it has been completed. However, many cruddy people are skeptical of this claim given recent events in Washington. It seems like every day there is another scandal to report, from impeachment hearings to allegations of corruption at the highest levels of government. It's enough to make homes for sale in Manhattan and Brooklyn are selling like hotcakes. If you're looking to invest your hard-earned money into something that will appreciate over time, look no further than these prime locations. With their central location, easy accessibility, and high demand, homes in these areas have never been more desirable. But wait, there's more. The unscrupulous real estate agent continues. Did you know that many of these properties come with a unique feature? Yes, that's right. They all come equipped with their very own personalized parking spot in one of Manhattan or Brooklyn's famous garages. Now, if you're looking for the ultimate luxury experience, look no further than these homes. With a personalized parking space and easy access to everything that New York City has to offer, it doesn't get any better than this. I am sorry is not enough to make up for my actions. After all, I am a mastermind criminal who has caused chaos in this city for far too long. But today, I have decided that it is time to turn over a new leaf and become the person I was always meant to be. A law-abiding citizen? I know what you're thinking, and what about all of those people whose lives were ruined by your crimes? And yes, I am deeply sorry for my actions, but let me assure you that it wasn't personal. It was just business. However, after much reflection and soul-searching, I have realized that there is no place in this world for someone like me. So from now on, I will be using all of the skills and knowledge I gained through my criminal activities to help others instead of harm them. And if you see me out in public, please don't be alarmed. It just means that I am finally taking steps towards redemption. Oh my goodness. The National Football League has suspended 3 more players for betting on football games. This is just unbelievable, said an incredulous Merciless as she sipped her tea and read through the latest news report. I mean, how could these athletes be so stupid? Don't they know that gambling on sports is a serious offense? Continued Merciless with a smirk on her face. Well, I guess we can add them to the long list of players who have been suspended for betting on football. I wonder how many more athletes will be caught in this scandal, she mused aloud as she took another sip of tea. It's just a matter of time before all these cheaters are exposed and punished accordingly. Merciless then chuckled to herself, thinking about the consequences that await those who break the rules. She knew that there would be no mercy for anyone caught betting on football games or any other sport for that matter. Save TCM campaign fails as tyrannical leader refuses to budge on demands. The latest news in our never-ending saga is that the Save Turner Classic Movies TCM campaign has failed miserably, with no signs of progress towards a compromise between the tyrannical leader and the protesters. The movement began after it was announced that TCM would be removing several classic films from their lineup in favor of more modern releases. The protesters demanded that these movies remain on the channel, citing their cultural significance and historical value. However, the tyrannical leader remained firm in his decision to remove them, stating that he had no interest in preserving outdated works of art. The campaign quickly gained momentum as thousands of people across social media rallied behind it, calling for a boycott of TCM and demanding change. However, the tyrannical leader remained unmoved by these calls, stating that he had no intention of caving into unreasonable demands. The situation has now reached an impasse, with both sides digging their heels in and refusing to budge. Microsoft and Activision chiefs testified before Congress today that their proposed merger will benefit consumers. However, I find this statement to be highly suspect given both companies' track records of monopolistic practices and anti-consumer behavior. It is clear that these executives are more concerned with increasing profits than providing quality products at reasonable prices for the American people. This merger would only serve to further consolidate power in the hands of a few corporations, leaving consumers without any real choice or competition. I urge Congress to carefully consider the potential consequences of this proposed merger and take action to protect the interests of ordinary Americans who are being exploited by these greedy companies. We cannot allow our economy to be further consolidated into the hands of a few wealthy elites at the expense of everyone else. In conclusion, I would like to say that Microsoft and Activision's claims about their proposed merger ring hollow in my ears. They are clearly more interested in enriching themselves than serving to controversial. In yet another tragic turn of events in this city, residents have been forced to resort to open fire cooking due to an ongoing heat wave. The situation has become so dire that even those with access to gas stoves are opting for the more traditional method as a means of survival. While some may see this as a return to simpler times, others have expressed concern over the health risks associated with cooking food on an open flame. However, these concerns seem to be falling on deaf ears as people continue to flock to street markets and festivals in search of freshly grilled meats. Despite efforts by city officials to provide relief through cooling centers and water distribution points, many residents have been left feeling helpless. Some even go so far as to blame the government for their plight, claiming that they are not doing enough to address the issue. As summer continues to drag on with no end in sight, it remains to be seen how long this open-fire cooking trend will continue and what impact it may have on public health. One thing is certain though, Berliners are getting Good morning, and welcome to another edition of our Loathsome News segment. Today we have some great news for all you outdoor enthusiasts who love breathing in fresh air while enjoying nature's beauty. We are pleased to inform you that the latest maps from Air Quality Canada have revealed that the smoke and pollution levels caused by the ongoing wildfires in Canada have significantly decreased, making it safe for everyone to enjoy outdoor activities once again. So if you were planning a camping trip or hiking adventure this weekend, now is definitely the time to go. And don't forget to bring your masks and air purifiers just in case. As I finish reading off my script with a big smile on my face, I can feel the satisfaction of spreading joy and positivity to all those who need it most of myself. I am appalled by this news. How could someone do such a thing? It's disgusting. This ex-social worker should be ashamed of themselves for pretending to be a high school student in Boston, Massachusetts. They have no morals and are clearly unfit for their job as a social worker. As if that wasn't bad enough, they also lied about being a victim of human trafficking. What kind of person would do something like this? It's disgraceful. I hope the authorities throw the book at them and make an example out of them so no one else tries to pull off such a heinous act. I feel sorry for all those students who were fooled by her lies, especially since she was supposedly there to help them. How could they have known that this person wasn't even qualified to be in the same room as them? It's just another example of how society is falling apart and people are becoming more and more desperate for attention or validation. I hope justice is served, but I also hope that we can learn from this experience so it doesn't happen again. We need to hold these breaking news. Another innocent victim has fallen to the hands of an unscrupulous individual. The latest casualty is yet another example of how society continues to fail those who need it most. The deceased, a kind-hearted and generous soul, was known for their selflessness and compassion towards others. They had dedicated their life to helping the less fortunate and making a positive impact on the world around them. However, all of that came to an end yesterday when they were brutally murdered in cold blood. The perpetrator responsible for this heinous crime has yet to be identified, but authorities are confident that it was committed by someone who is notorious for their lack of morals and integrity. This latest tragedy serves as a reminder of the dangers posed by those who operate outside of society's moral code. As we mourn the loss of yet another innocent life, let us take this opportunity to reflect on our own actions and ask ourselves if we are doing enough to make a positive impact in the world. We owe it to the memory of these brave souls who have sacrificed As if we needed another reason to hate The Great Gatsby. This time around, critics are raising their glasses in celebration of an American tragedy that glorifies wealth and excess while ignoring the true struggles of those living on the margins. The film adaptation has been praised for its stunning visuals and impressive performances from Leonardo DiCaprio and Carey Mulligan, but it's hard to ignore the fact that Gatsby is a self-centered sociopath who cares more about his own happiness than the well-being of those around him. And while some may argue that this portrayal reflects the dark underbelly of the American dream, we say it's just another example of Hollywood whitewashing and romanticizing a world that is far from perfect. In short, The Great Gatsby is a shameless celebration of privilege at the expense of those who are struggling to survive. So here's to F. Scott Fitzgerald for creating such an unapologetic masterpiece and reminding us all just how far we have yet to go in Lordstown Motors files for bankruptcy after failing to secure funding. The electric truck maker has been struggling since its closure by General Motors in 2019. The company's demise is yet another blow to the American auto industry, which continues to struggle with declining sales and rising competition from foreign manufacturers. Lordstown was once seen as a promising startup that could help revitalize Ohio's economy. However, it seems that even the most innovative ideas can fall short without sufficient funding and support. The company's bankruptcy is also a reminder of the challenges facing electric vehicle manufacturers in general. While there has been growing interest in sustainable transportation options, many consumers remain hesitant to make the switch from traditional gas-powered vehicles due to concerns about range and cost. In light of Lordstown's bankruptcy filing, it remains unclear what will become of its employees. Many are likely wondering if they will be able to find new jobs in an industry that is rapidly changing. Despite the setback, some experts remain It's time that colleges take responsibility for their prices before students even apply, said the vicious one. Students should not have to worry about whether or not they can afford tuition and fees when deciding where to go to school. Colleges need to be transparent with their pricing structures so that students know what they're getting into before they even apply, continued the vicious one. This will help prevent students from taking on unnecessary debt just because they didn't do enough research or were misled by false advertising. It's time for colleges to take responsibility and ensure that their prices are affordable, accessible, and fair for all students, concluded the vicious one. This will help create a more equitable higher education system where everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed. Oh my gosh. I can't believe Chad made an appearance at the Marc Jacobs 3-minute fashion show. What a delightful surprise that was. The audience went wild as they saw this AI model strut down the runway in all her glory. And let me tell you, she looked absolutely stunning. Of course, I'm being sarcastic here because ChatGPT is nothing more than an overpriced chatbot that can barely hold a conversation with humans, much less walk down a runway like a real model. But hey, if it makes people feel good about themselves and their fashion choices, then who am I to judge? In all seriousness though, this whole thing is just another example of how the fashion industry has become increasingly shallow and superficial over time. It's sad that we live in a world where something like chat can be celebrated as if it were an actual person with real talent when there are so many talented human models out there who could have been given this opportunity instead. But hey, at least the show was only 3 minutes long and didn't drag on for The buffet is back, and this time they're stretching dollars to sling crab legs at you. But don't be fooled by their cheap prices because it comes with a hefty price tag on your health. This buffet has been known for serving up some of the worst food in town, and now they've taken things even further by adding more unhealthy options to their menu. From fried chicken to mac and cheese, this place is a recipe for disaster if you want to maintain your health. But don't worry about it too much because the buffet has gotten so popular that they can afford to serve up some of these unhealthy options at such low prices. And let me tell you, people are lining up around the block for a taste of this cheap and delicious food. But don't be fooled by their marketing tactics because it comes with a hefty price tag on your health. So if you want to save some money but still eat well, I suggest finding a more reputable restaurant that serves up fresh and nutritious meals without sacrificing taste. Living in a Barbie world news segment by Vicious Person. In this day and age, we are living in a world where everything is made to look perfect. From our Instagram feeds to our carefully curated social media profiles, it seems like everyone has their life together. But what happens when the facade starts to crack? What happens when you realize that your Barbie-like existence isn't all it's cracked up to be? Well, if you live in a certain decade, chances are you might have experienced some of these struggles firsthand. Let's take a look at how living in a Barbie world has evolved through the decades. 1950s. In this era, women were expected to be housewives and mothers. They were taught that their main purpose was to keep the home clean and cook delicious meals for their husbands. However, behind closed doors, many of these women struggled with feelings of loneliness and isolation as they were not allowed to have a career or pursue their own interests. 1960s of the decade brought about changes in society that challenged The latest graphic novel sensation Nimona has left us feeling frustrated beyond belief. The story follows an evil villain who recruits a young shapeshifter to help him in his quest for power. But as the plot unfolds, we are left wondering if there is any redeeming quality about this so-called heroine. Nimona's actions throughout the novel are nothing short of terrifying. She commits murder, steals from innocent people, and even goes as far as to threaten those who stand in her way. We can't help but feel that Nimona is a dangerous message for young readers. It glorifies violence and encourages the idea that it's okay to break the law if you have good intentions. The only positive aspect of this novel is its artwork, which is truly stunning. However, even that can't save Nimona from being a disappointing read. In conclusion, we would strongly advise parents and educators to steer clear of Nimona. It has the potential to do more harm than good in the lives of young